Okay, the title of this is I Want to Know Why My Mother Was Booked In for Death. God has put it on my heart today as kind of an emergency to get this up. God gave me this title specifically as he gave me a prophetic message some time ago that he was going to lose it over what they did to my mum. The prophetic messages that were spoken to me thereafter was that my mum was slewed. As I have mentioned in a couple of videos previously on my channel, God considered her a lamb, and I believe it was to be an example and evidence to expose her killers and bring about justice. From what I have gathered by some of the visions I have seen, that she was walking down a hospital corridor with blood dripping onto her feet and onto the floor, being led from what I believe to be an arranged death, and some sort of affiliated Freemasons or Masons were involved in her death. God revealed one person in particular who was a lecturer in status and was involved, who was an acquaintance of the family in the past. This drop was given to me around the period where I'd done the video entitled A Certain Sacrifice, where I was talking about Madonna being slewed as an honour killing. Just to detail what happened with my mum on the last few days before I was told she died, me and my brother had been caring for her between ourselves for years, and we were obviously exhausted mentally and spiritually and physically, as we would need constant run around with the doctor's appointments, medication, and being watched over at night. My mum had the conditions COPD, asthma, arthritis, dementia, type 2 diabetes. The dementia was pretty rough, as well as she would differ on different days, and she could be quite hard work on an emotional level. Events. My mother was taken by ambulance to Heartlands Hospital in Birmingham on Friday, I believe the 6th of December 2019, where she was struggling breathing with COPD. This was an occurrence that happened once or twice a year, especially if she caught colds. Each time her bounce back was getting slower. Nevertheless, my mum fought back and was home as soon as she could be, which was around 3 months, because she was like to be at home. She had to be in strange places, and she was in her 80s at the time as well. I think she might have been 85. I was phoned sometime during Sunday morning by a nurse and a doctor, I think, and probably on Monday morning as well, as she was going to not make it past Monday. I was took back, but kind of preparing myself a long time, as she was getting more and more sick each year. I couldn't make seeing her over that weekend, as I was a little short in money, and me and my brother were so mentally tired we just needed the rest, and we thought that she was in good hands. I made it to the hospital on Monday the 9th of December 2019 with my brother, and her heart was beating very fast, and there was a fan nearer to help her with the breathing, which was a standard thing that you had to do, even at home. Note that she wasn't on life support or any breathing apparatus. She may have been when she was admitted to hospital, but by that time she wasn't on any life support or anything, or breathing. I held her hand and she calmed down. Her heartbeat slowed down then. She was not confused that day, but she was a little scared. I noticed that she had a very dry mouth. A hospital assistant made her a cup of tea, but put it way out the reach of her. She had water at the side of her, and I dabbed her a bit with a straw on her mouth, but she resisted. She was closing her eyes on and off, but she got more brighter and alert as the visit continued. She talked to us, and she said, and we said that we loved her, and she was kind of snarling at my brother, which usually is a sign of fight with my mum. My brother meant her well, as he cared for her most of the time, but they would both have the flashpoints, as they was both kind of had the same kind of dominating personality, and sometimes they wouldn't see eye to eye. Her skin was soft to touch, and she had rosy cheeks. She didn't seem to me to cause for major worry, but I kind of had the hospital attendants or nurse and doctor's words in the back of my mind that she could pass away, and took it as gospel, as you trust them without thinking, don't you? We got up and left eventually, as I had to pick my daughter up from school, and I said to her, "See you Wednesday," kind of hopeful she'll pull through by Wednesday. On that evening I got a phone call around about 8ish, I believe, with a nurse from the hospital saying that my mum wasn't going to last much longer that night. And if I could pop up to the hospital before she passes, that would be me saying me last goodbyes, basically. I said I couldn't come because I had a young daughter with me, and as I was a single parent, and they wouldn't have let her up anyway because they've got a policy about contagious illnesses, vice versa, I think, just to protect the patients and the child. Anyway, I was so distraught. I hit the bottle that night, and after 10 minutes later I was told she'd actually passed on, and actually threw up quite violently after that phone call because just dealing with it. I had the bottle of sherry in, and I don't drink that often, but I had to that night just to steady my nerves. And they told me that I had to come up and collect this death certificate the following day. Well, we went the following day, me and my brother, and collecting the certificate was misinformation in itself, as they had to confirm what she had died of. Me and my brother was taken back as we was expecting to see her in the chapel at the hospital. Instead, we were advised to see some sort of hospital counsellor to help deal with her passing and start organising her funeral. We booked an appointment at the desk and waited and waited and waited with no avail, almost like we were being deliberately ignored, as some who arrived late actually went in before us. Anyway, we were eventually saw to somebody who was quite cold, but started getting Mum's cremation booked, as we were unsure whether her policy would pay out enough to cover a funeral, as she hadn't had much capital or savings. I think there was like some sort of body of money that would be paid out to, like actually get like some sort of service for her, like a small church service, which I thank God that she had. That day when she was took, she was cremated after a church service. No one attended, of course. It was just me and my brother, and it was like almost like they was landing the people in one after the other. People that were on like budget end funerals, state funerals, I don't know what they are. Yeah, and it was like one after the other, not a state funeral, but you know what I mean, like a low end sort of paid for funeral by the councils. I don't know what funding it was, but it was one after the other, and there was very few relatives with each of the people that were seeing their relatives off. We were waiting a long time for a death certificate to come through, and this hospital advisor was literally next to impossible to contact. There were all sorts of mix-ups going on. At one point I was told they didn't know the whereabouts of her body for a good couple of weeks, and I left a message demanding the whereabouts of her body, as I was getting people phoning me to book a crematorium and church service, and other like the housing was asking for, when she was going to leave a bill, like a bungalow and stuff like that, when they could actually close it, and it was all mounting up the rent and stuff. Eventually things got sorted, but as relatives we were literally clueless and last to know anything about her whereabouts was. No explanation where she was. Also with that, the hospital, whenever my mother would go into hospital, would have doctors phoning me throughout the night, each with a different story of what illnesses she had. It's almost as if they wasn't in consultation with each other and expected me to sort her out. One doctor thought she was clinically mad. I ended up switching my phone off in the end, as it was stressing me out, and it almost seemed like it was deliberate to stress me out. I don't know what was going on there, whether they just couldn't genuinely understand what was going on with her. And I would go up the next day, and not one doctor would speak to me about her condition, even though that they saw me there on the rare occasion that I was in the ward. I'll just leave it there. Time will tell what went on behind the scenes with my mum, but God pressed it on my heart to put this up as a testimony to what I've gone through. So I just like keep your eyes open with whatever happens, because looking back on it now, my mum wasn't overly sick. She was sick, but she certainly wasn't on death's door on the day that she died. That's like, as I says, her skin was pink and she wasn't on any breathing apparatus. She was breathing for herself, so it's very odd. Okay, I'll leave it there. I just thought I'd put a certified copy of a death certificate. The odd part is down here, which it says, cause of death, influenza, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, type 2 diabetes. Now what's strange about that is, that's what she suffered within life. It's not like some sort of conclusive death. It was just a collection of what she already had. Usually there's like some sort of thing like heart attack or anything like that. That just is strange. So I just thought I'd put that.